What's up, family? Welcome back to the Stop Sinking Show, where we go from struggle to flow. The current working theory about our brain is that we have a period of life that is really high in neuroplasticity, which they say starts to decline as we get older. Now, say this is a theory because we know very little about the brain. The current theory says our brain is plastic and most able to be influenced and shaped and molded up until the age of 25. After which, we start to settle into ways that we have formed into already, shaped into already. There are other theories that say neuroplasticity can extend way beyond into our later years, especially if we exercise and keep our brains healthy. What is thought to happen once we start to lose our plasticity is that we start to move from what is also referred to as fluid intelligence and start to crystallize our intelligence. We can also think of crystallized intelligence as the growing set of things that you know, that you learn, which we have referred to as wisdom before. If it continues to be applicable, it is wisdom. And you can think of fluid intelligence as raw processing power to approach novel tasks. First principles thinking, fresh thinking, or being able to problem solve without having any prior knowledge to rely on. You can see how age can play a role in this. Because at a young age, when you are mostly fluid, you literally don't have prior knowledge to rely on. So you have no choice but to chart a path instead of following one. As you get older, and maybe wiser, the wiser part not a guarantee by age, you will start to rely on patterns you have learned to approach problems with, which is obviously time-saving, calorically less expensive for your brain, but it also can strip you of that creative, childlike quality of looking at a problem with fresh eyes and approach the solution of it in a novel way. And in a fast changing world where old patterns become less and less relevant, while crystallized intelligence is an asset in many regards, it can also be a liability. My entire pursuit in life is in the direction of truth. And if you value truth enough, you will see that what you thought you knew about the truth might not actually be. Either you didn't have the entire picture, or the nature of truth completely changed. There are very few absolute truths in the world. Maybe the fact that all mortal things must perish, which even there makes me want to debate the nature of life itself and what doesn't perish, but I'll leave that for another day. The thing that I struggle with as someone in pursuit of truth is that truth tends to reveal itself in stages, in layers, as you are ready for it. And what you thought was truth yesterday might actually have changed today. Maybe because the truth itself actually changed, or maybe because you never really had a full grasp of it. And of course, we want to find a truth and hold on to it firmly and defend it because we have found it. It's painstaking work. And we want to think it is the end-all, be-all truth. But that's where crystallization sneaks in the door. And knowing the nature of truth and its amorphous emergence with time, wouldn't it be helpful to work with the nature of that time and remain open to what it reveals? Doesn't crystallizing around what you think you know about the truth actually work in opposition with the nature of truth itself? Because it reveals itself in stages and layers that you did not originally grasp. And this is what I prescribe as anti-aging for your soul, anti-aging for your spirit. The thing is, the truth never ages. It's always young because it remains fresh. It constantly updates itself. It's constantly the most relevant thing that sits at the highest order. That doesn't necessarily mean it abandons any or all facets of what it came from, what it's made up of. It might reflect much of everything you have already known of it, but the new facets that now shine through will not be visible to you through the fixed crystal lens of your psyche. You will have to open your eyes fully and look for more than what you are used to seeing. There's more to meet the eye if you invite it. What I'm saying is, if you want to stay young, let go of all of your ideas, your preconceived notions, your conceptions that might miss. The very thing that is aging your spirit, bogging it down, is the baggage you keep adding to. And at a certain point, all that you think you know weighs you down so much that you can't travel very far without exhaustion. You might even become completely immobilized, and nothing leads to extinction faster than stagnation, the inability to move. So if you don't drop an idea and pick up a new one, if you aren't constantly making that trade, knowing that you sincerely can only have so many ideas of how things work at a given time without it slowing you down, and if you aren't constantly in pursuit of testing those ideas against newer ones that might serve you better or lead in the direction of progress, then you are going to age faster than you realize. Maybe even by 25, you will have figured out exactly who you are, what you think, what you need to consider or not consider as possibilities, which is where the saying, many die at 25 but aren't buried until 75, because that extra 50 years isn't used in any meaningful way to make any exchanges in their ways of thinking, their ways of being, their ways of believing. Just a set of truths firmly held onto, a version of the world carelessly curated and then stuck to. I can't tell you how many times in the pursuit of truth, when I had thought I had landed on it, that I learned I was wrong, that I had to concede to a higher truth, admit my mistake, forgive my spirit even for holding on to what turned out to be low resolution or a delusion altogether, and then allow it to pick up the next version of truth and go out into the world and see the world differently from that set of truths with fresh eyes and reassess the value of everything through that lens that I may have previously mistaken, misassessed. At a certain point, you have to ask yourself, do you want to be right or do you want to get it right? If you are really in the pursuit of truth, then you must be truthful about the truths you hold. You must look at them truthfully too. You must examine, observe, pierce, and stress test them to see if they can stand to serve. See, this is required for the most practical of senses. Even though I'm positioning it as a way to keep your spirit free, I don't just mean spirit and soul in the woo-woo sense. I mean it also in the most practical way, in the sense of air you bring into something, the lightness by which you approach a topic. If you are too firm, you force deterministic outcomes. You cannot actually see the nature of something under imposition. In the most practical of ways, to see something for what it really is, you must take off your own ideas of what you think it is. And again, in a world we live in today, where almost nothing you know might apply in 5 or 10 years, remember this while you practice your patterns. That practice might make perfect, but it doesn't make new. And if you want to be fresh, young, born again, age like the truth, then evolve. and keep moving. I love you, family. Stay true always. I'll see you on the next show.